Baron Bunny, I don't think we're gonna make it out of this one. I just want you to know it was a pleasure serving with you. Do you have any final words? Anything you would like to say? I get it. I get it. You're a woman of few words. I forgot about that. You're more of a person of action.
Yo, what's good, pimpin'? What's good?
Hey, what's up?
When are you coming? When are you rolling back into town, son? When are you rolling back into town? That's what we want to know. We want to know when you rolling back into town.
Yeah, man, I'm kind of a little preoccupied right now. Anyone that comes in contact with the Ide, it's pretty much game over, and I'm on a suicide mission with Baron Bunny. Probably not gonna make it out of this one, to be honest with you.
Okay, look. Okay, look. I'm just trying to keep it 100 with you at this point. What are you out here doing? Come on, man. Come on, man. You can come back. I don't know about this eye nonsense, but you can come back, play Halo Infinite, play the campaign. Dude, don't miss out on a campaign, man. Come on. Play the campaign. Then you can go do the suicide mission. It's that simple. It's that simple. Don't make life difficult. Dude, when are you rolling back into town? I'm trying to let you know right now. I'm trying to be nice. Like, we got Senran, Kagura, X, Neptunia. That's your vibe, man. That's your vibe. And they got that blue reflection game. I know it's kind of like weeby, a little slash girly, a bit much for me, but that's your kind of jam. I ain't judging you, just saying, like I know you want to check out that stuff. And then more my vibe, you probably down for that new Halo, son, that Halo Infinite. Dude,
Baron Bunny, do you think we could put this mission on hold and just kind of suicide mission, just place it right over there somewhere, and we get back to this later? And Baron Bunny, Baron Bunny, are you listening to me? Those games sound amazing, so maybe you just wanna. Great. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I am Ryofu, and you are watching The Gaming Harbinger. Now, as most of you know, this is the second video, part 2 of Space Runaway Ideon, but more specifically, this is the video covering the movie Be Invoked. There's two movies. I'm not going to focus on the first one because it's pretty much just a recap of the first 32 episodes. And then Be Invoked is about the last 7 episodes, going into a little more detail, more specifics on how everything went down, how certain characters met their demise. That's what this video is about. I know that sounds dark, but there's a lot of things that I wanted to talk about with this movie, and there was no way for me to do it without spoiling everything. So that's why I knew in order for me to do this, I was going to have to spoil everything. Let me know in the comment section below if you're okay with videos like this, or would you rather them be like my typical videos where I give an explanation of the story, talk about the concepts and themes and the character dynamics, but really I avoid spoiling anything. But I thought this would be fun to do, especially it's older, so a lot of people won't see it. Some of you here right now might be watching this just for my reactions and whatnot. But I'm gonna make it fun and entertaining even for people that have no intention of watching the series, but maybe they're just curious to hear my thoughts on it. So this will still be fun all around and just pure insanity because, this show is a trip. So something that was revealed at the very end of the TV series is Cheryl's drunken tirade. She pretty much has a meltdown due to losing her sister, losing Gihei, and even before that, losing Cobalt, and it just becomes too much. And what happens is she says what other people are thinking on the ship. This won't be a direct quote, so I'm kind of paraphrasing this, but she pretty much says, hey, the Ide does not want us to fight the Buff Clan, and the Ide is not allowing us to leave this ship. This thing is going to kill us. None of us will survive. That's pretty much along the lines of what she says. I'm paraphrasing majorly here, but it's pretty much what she's saying. And of course, people are feeling that vibe, but she openly states this. Pretty much at the end of the series, you're realizing the Ide is sentient, and it is hoping for the humans and the Buff Clan to kind of reconcile their differences and live and coexist peacefully. And obviously, it's just not happening. I mean, you can look at it and say, well, maybe it's more the push of the Buff Clan than anything else. But at the end of the day, it's not working. What the Ide wants is not happening. So therefore, it's going to take drastic measures. Of course, the Ide did make an effort to teleport Carla and Jolliver to the Buff Clan ship. And this just went further down the spiral. It did not help the situation at all. They didn't kiss and make up, so it just made things worse. So one of the scenes that's slightly altered is Maya being killed by Brenda Lotta. And this scene is actually superb. Even though it alters what happens in the TV series, the voice actor for Brenda Lotta does an incredible job. So jumping back to Cheryl, towards the end of the series, Cheryl does like some wacky experiments with Lou in the cockpit. And the reason why she was doing this was because she came to the realization that the Ide was reacting to children more than it was the minds of adults. The fact that her mental state wasn't in the best place, she gets the wacky idea of, things are going downhill fast, so I'm gonna just go outside the ship, hold Lou Piper in the air. Granted, they're wearing spacesuits, but I'm gonna hold him up in the air like he's Simba, and this is the Lion King. It's absolute madness. And of course, a cannon blast hits the ship and it sends Lou Piper off to safety, just floating out into space. And then, of course, Cheryl, her spacesuit is just disintegrating. And before it gets too intense, you can see Gihei embrace her hand and sweeps her away. Or, I guess you could say in spirit form, sweeps her away and carries her off into space. Which I guess in some ways, maybe that's touching to a degree since she had been through so much. But I'm glad that Tomino kind of spared us. He could have made that way darker than what it was. So before I go any further, I want to take a moment to acknowledge Gihei as a character because I don't believe I mentioned him at all in my initial review. So I wanted to take a moment to acknowledge this now. Him being a respected officer in the Buff Clan military to completely deviating from his culture to just wanting to learn more about the Ide is a fascinating twist. It's almost as if he completely throws away his past life accomplishments to go rogue to only learn more about the Ide. If I were to be completely honest about this, I really think this is a garbage trade. Gihei got ripped off, but no, I'm just kidding. But it's also interesting that, when the show initially starts, he is definitely in love with Carla and wants to protect her. He definitely wants in those genes. No, I'm just kidding. But without a doubt, in the beginning, Gihei wanted Carla. And so it is a fascinating twist that all the fighting and everything that happens, he's a pretty straight and narrow type of guy that's in the military. And now he goes from this for just completely going rogue and going to the other side, and all for the sake of just learning a little bit more about the Ide. That is really interesting. And also, Gihei and Cheryl just couldn't be more different from each other. Not a match whatsoever, but what brings them together is, in fact, them wanting to learn more about the Ide. This is the ultimate driving force for them as a couple. Now around the 20-minute mark is when things start to change. You can tell that this is probably the softest and as close as the show is going to get to being heartwarming. Carla and Jolliver return back to the ship, and Carla meets up with Bess. They embrace. She's like, hey, by the way, I'm pregnant. It's kind of a warm moment. But you can tell that this is like the talk before the big fight. And after this, it's never going to be the same. One of the things that's kind of interesting is shortly after this scene, Kasha makes a comment to Cosmos, like she sees Carla and Bess kiss, and then she turns around, looks at Cosmo, and she's like, "Hey, now it's our turn." And pretty much Cosmo's like, "Yeah, that's not happening." And this kind of gives an indication that possibly all this time Kasha had feelings for Cosmo, and it kind of ends with them both just kind of agreeing, like, you know what, after this, let's try to get along better, which I think is kind of adorable.
トロロフ、お前たちはなぜヘルメットをつけぬか？軍規違反だぞ。どうも性に合いません。
トロロフはヘルメットで自分の美貌が隠れるのが嫌なのです。
それならキラルルとて同類だろうが。で、二人がそうならば、私はどうなる？死ぬまでヘルメットをしてはならぬわけだ。仰せの通りです。お世辞はいい。
Yeah, they need to calm down. For real. So one of the most intense scenes in the entire movie is Carla getting shot in the face multiple times by her own sister, Harulu. Now, granted, she is wearing a spacesuit and helmet, so it's not bloody per se, but when you see the shock in her eyes and you see the bullets go through, it's pretty intense and a pretty striking scene. So one thing I want to take a moment to acknowledge, and this is just my own theory, like nobody has said this as far as I know. I think aside from what's obvious, which is there is a jealousy that Harulu has for her sister Carla, I think there's another dynamic where she's probably jealous of the way Carla was raised as opposed to her. There's a scene, and I'm kind of jumping a bit, but there's a scene towards the end where Doba openly acknowledges that, you know, Harulu should have been a boy and Carla laid with an alien. He made it sound like these were like just the tragedies of the family, so to speak. And him stating that the oldest sister should have been a boy, it means that on some level he was disappointed by this outcome. And it's obvious, it is very obvious that, you know, throughout the 39 episodes that Harulu was doing everything she could to overcompensate and work extremely hard to be impressive. And I mean, she definitely was. And these things that I'm bringing up now, this only further facilitates the idea that Tomino had a really good foundation of what he wanted to do and where he wanted these characters to go in terms of their development. If he had only had more time and if only the show was just like a smash success. So shortly after this, Harulu seems pretty intent on doing a suicide attack. It appears like she no longer cares whether she lives or dies. And to a degree, it felt like when you're watching the series that she wanted to avenge the death of her loved one. But then it's like once she kills her sister, really it feels like she becomes unhinged. And in fact, it almost feels like there's this thing that she's battling, like maybe she didn't necessarily want to go through with it, but she was pushing herself to do it. Further going back to that idea of, you know, just her overcompensating. You know, she's not a boy, but she's trying to be the best thing she can for her father. Damn! This is another area where Dobo reflects on how he got to where he is at right now. I actually like this part because even though you can tell parts of this are a little bit condensed, but you get the general idea that Doba is coming to terms with a lot of things. He's coming to the realization that all of the sacrifices and choices he made for family, for the bloodline, this is what led him to where he is at right now. It's at this point that Doba realizes that neither the humans nor the Buff Clan are on the good side. So, Kasha's death. Obviously, I was not happy about this. This is the Asuka of the series, so it sucked. But she essentially died the same way that Carla did, except for in the case of just bullets flying through her helmet, shrapnel from an explosion hits and cuts right through her. And Again, you see the shock and horror in her eyes as she realizes what has happened. You know, say what you will about the age and everything and the dated vibe, but you know what? There are some scenes in here that are spectacular. The last 40 minutes of this movie just looks amazing to me. And there's just even the theme music that's playing throughout, it's kind of foreboding, it's ominous, it's kind of sad. I think it's a perfect vibe. It just, everything complements the more details in the animation, the special effects, and the music. It's all complementary to the message and the sadness that they're trying to convey. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now at the scene that grabbed my attention. What brought us to this point? And that is Ashura's death. Now, I will say this, it did not make me sleep any better at night seeing this poor soul getting their head blasted off of their shoulders. But nonetheless, you know, here we are. And yeah, I don't feel any better getting to this point and finally seeing how it unfolded. It's shocking, but you know something, depending on your sense of humor, I'm saying brace yourself, depending on your sense of humor, some people that are, you know, the Tomino fans and whatnot, when they look at Ashura's death, they say, oh, she got off easy. She went fast. It's not so bad. Okay, I'm trying not to be mean here, but, you know, Fard, he's useless. And that name is useless too. But anyways, he gets taken out pretty quickly. And the nurse, I don't want to destroy her name. It's like Rapo or something like that. She's amazing because, I mean, she was like the last man standing, fighting all the way till the end alongside Bess. But anyways, she was phenomenal. She did what she could. She was helping people and fighting all in one. Amazing. Hitari getting taken out by a few well-placed shots while at the same time shouting, Yokai! Is kind of messed up. It's kind of disrespectful, but just like the nurse, I mean, he went out like a G. He did his job till the end. Which is, like I said, depressing, kind of. I kind of feel sorry for Bess on this one. Bess, of course, took multiple shots, but that last shot he took, that was from like one of the guys in Call of Duty that can shoot through walls. That was garbage. Doba's last moments are quite interesting. A mutiny arises, and when soldiers confront Doba on what is supposed to happen next, they realize he's accepting his fate and is willing to sacrifice more men. And that's essentially when they turn on him. To be honest, it's quite befitting. So in the final moments, we see the remaining survivors, which there's not many. Some people like Bess, Fard, and the nurse, they're injured, but you know, they're pretty much dying. They get completely vaporized. Lou Piper wasn't injured, but completely vaporized. And Cosmo and Deck, they're not injured, but I mean, they pretty much get vaporized, and it's pretty intense. So after this happens, we see like everyone kind of appear in spirit form, and they're flying around and everything, and most of them are pretty happy and content. But because this is an 80s anime, it would only be fitting that they fly around in space naked. It makes sense. If you know 80s anime, this totally makes sense. This is completely logical. Initially, I thought this put a nice bow on things. It's nice to reunite with your loved ones, and this puts a bow on everything. Relationships that didn't have enough time to flourish, now they have the opportunity to do so. So I think at its core, the main purpose of this sequence is to show that mankind is going to start anew. And when I say start anew, I mean brand spanking new. We're talking Stone Age new. So we're going back to the very, very beginning, square one. One thing I realized after a second watch is that the people that were couples already, they reunited. And people that maybe there was some chemistry and they liked each other, but not enough time happened for anything to materialize, they ended up together. But then there were people that nothing was established, but it's just like you have a human here, and then you have a buff clan here, and they put them together and they're in love, I guess. But I believe this was probably more a push on the Ide and just making sure like the people that were established couples, they're together. The people that liked each other and never had a chance, they're together. And then maybe the people that never found anyone, they're with someone now, and it's more than likely someone they didn't expect. And maybe this can increase the chances of peace being maintained. Right at the very end, we do see Kasha and Cosmo's little girlfriend at the beginning. And it does appear that Kasha tried multiple times to wake Cosmo by giving him a kiss, by shaking him, and nothing's working. And you can kind of see by her expression that, yeah, she definitely liked Cosmo for sure. So what ends up happening is that his crush does go ahead and gives Cosmo a kiss. He does awaken, but she doesn't stay. She goes away, and Kasha ends up with Cosmo, and they appear to be at least happy together. So I believe the Ide's intention was the people that were together, have them reunite, and then the ones that weren't with anyone, maybe we can put them with someone. And perhaps this can increase the chances of a peaceful existence in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for me. Please leave a like. Please consider subscribing. Consider joining this team. We do stuff like this all the time. Let me know what you thought about this format, because like I said, this is a little different. It has a crap ton of spoilers. Let me know if you approve or if you disapprove. Yeah, and please let me know if you would like me to review more old school anime. I'm considering on reviewing a Mobile Suit Gundam, but for the time being, I am gonna go back and review a couple of newer stuff. I know that that's what gets the algorithm going, but you know, in some aspects, you guys already know by now with me, and some stuff I just don't give a shit. And it's like, if it's something interesting and compelling, I want to talk about it. I want to share my thoughts, and that's what it is. Until next time, I'll see you in the next video.